You guys knew this outcome from week one. It's World of Dance finale.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Champions. All right, we've been singing this, but we want to welcome you guys on back to World of Dance. It's finale week for season one. I'm Kristyn Burtt here on AfterBuzz TV, and we're so excited because we've got a lot to talk about. I'm not sure everyone's thrilled with the outcome, so I think that there's going to be a lot of debate, and I'm expecting a lot of comments underneath our YouTube page because I think that this is something we're going to discuss for a long time. But let's get started and introduce my co-host.
Yay! Hello! It's the last night on this panel with you beautiful ladies. It was a pleasure. I am Becky Sattero. You can find me at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Becky Sattero.
Yay! I know. I can't believe it's our last week.
It was a fast 10 weeks.
It sure was. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Cassandra, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmyCassandra_TV and AmyCassandra.com.
Yeah, let's get started.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things. Look, we have to establish this, first of all, and go back to week one. They said it was the Olympics of dance. And I had David Gonzalez, who is the president of World of Dance, on today on To The Point. And it was a kind of a good reminder, and I just want to kind of put this out there before we really dive into the dances. And he was like, when you go to the Olympics, it's not just a bunch of unknowns. You have, I'm going to use gymnastics because that's my best sport that I really can understand, but you have your Simone Biles, you have the people that are favored to win, but you also have the unknowns that their win is just appearing at the Olympics or appearing on the show and things like that. And then if you don't have the best in the world, is it really a championship? And not only do they come back to the World Championship, they also come back to the Olympics a second and third time. So that was a little hint to what is also probably going to be happening in season 2. We're going to see a lot of familiar faces, he's saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out there that, you know, again, this is not So You Think You Can Dance, where it's a bunch of unknowns, or America's Got Talent, again, a bunch of unknowns trying to, or maybe a little bit of notoriety trying to make it to that next level. They touted this as the best in the world. So with that, let's get talking about the dances, because we do kick it off with Les Twins, of course, the winners of $1 million.
Well, I think that's such a beautiful perspective that you just put out there, because it's so true. I think a lot of us kind of were waiting for that underdog to win.
Yes.
But this is the stage for the world's best dancers, you know? So, I mean,
it is.
I don't know. I think even though we were we were left a little short, I think, you know, all three of us felt a little sad by this finale. It's so true that Les Twins have a name in this industry. They are incredible.
They're masters at what they do.
They're masters. So, I mean, but that perspective, it's even you saying that, just, I really feel is such an important thing to remember. And I don't know, I didn't do that throughout this finale. You know, like I wanted the underdog. Eva was who I was rooting for. So.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we need to establish that. Like, people that are rooting for Les Twins, we get it. We completely understand it. But dance is also art, and it's subjective, and we are moved by different things. And I think that's what we also have to respect on both sides.
Yeah, and I think it just as humans, too, we always root for the underdog. We always root for the person that, you know, oh, they can beat, you know, the Davids, you know, David and Goliath. And that's obviously what I felt like this finale was, Eva and Les Twins. But so we're obviously going to root for the David, but when all is said and done, I mean, Les Twins, we saw why they're the best in the world tonight. So
100%. And I thought that they kicked it off. To me, the first number was the strongest number.
Absolutely. What'd you think?
Well, first, starting with Jennifer Lopez giving them that song, Stole the Show. I was a little bit shocked because she said, you know, I feel like you guys stole the show from the beginning. So it's just like, okay, well, we had 10 weeks of this. What do you mean? You know, so that was a little bit weird for me. I think they did all right in the first one. I think that maybe I just remember the second performance more because it was the most recent, and of course, it was actually higher scoring than the first performance. But I thought they did well. The thing is that you can count on Les Twins to be consistent, consistently really good, and they were. But to me, it didn't stand out as something like memorable.
I guess for me, the first number was, to me, classically Twins, what I remember them for. And so I do love that, and I appreciate that. And I did appreciate that JLo was like, you can't, like, you have to just get out there. You know, you're either going to withdraw from the competition with that injury, or you're just going to suck it up like most dancers do and dance.
Right.
And she was like, no more excuses, go out there and dance, which they did. And so I appreciate what we saw in the first number, because that's what they're known for. That's their classic style. They call it new style. And really, they're the ones that created it. I don't think anyone else can do it personally, because it's so unique and individual to them. And I loved it so much more than what we saw last week with that wheelchair piece.
Yes. Oh, I mean, the wheelchair piece was grasping at straws for what it was. And I'm also curious, what the time lapse was with the injury, because clearly we saw not an ounce of the injury this week. So I do wonder in real time, like, how much time was in between that.
I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember the way that they did the schedule. They were doing a lot of Friday, Sunday, Monday tapings. So this could have been a Monday to a Friday. It could have been a Friday to a Sunday, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So it was somewhere in there. Also, you have to have time for someone to break their foot and change a dance, as we saw with Swing Latino. So I'm guessing that it probably was more of a Monday to Friday, or maybe they even skipped a Friday one and went to Sunday, so that the competitors had some time to prepare their final two dances.
Yeah. No, I loved the first dance. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. It's like, I hate to feel deflated about Les Twins, because we shouldn't, because they really are the best in the world.
Isn't that weird? Like, we love dance, and it's yet I feel like the best in the world really did just win. Why do we all feel so like,
because Eva's a rock star. Eva and Swing Latino, really, they pulled out all the tricks, really.
Well, and I think, Les Twins, they are cool. They've got swag. They don't open themselves up a lot to be vulnerable as much.
Or relatable. Yes,
relatable.
Lovable.
We don't know, they're like, here, I was talking to my mom, and that's sweet that they're close with their mom. But, I don't feel that sense of emotion that I feel when I hear Swing Latino story and I hear Eva Igo's story. I just know
there's
that
a connection being
there's
down.
a connection, and with them, I just know that they're awesome and they're amazing, and I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to imitate their style. To me, it's like asking someone to be the perfect imitation of Bob Fosse and his style. Nothing else is but a watered down version of what Fosse does. Anyone that tries Les Twin style is going to be a watered down version. And that's that.
Right. It's classic. We went into the competition knowing how great they are, and almost kind of keeping our eyes open for what, could be their competition.
And I also feel like on the judging side, I feel that Jennifer Lopez had made up her mind the first time she saw him.
I feel that too.
We know that judging is subjective, and everyone, what appeals to you doesn't appeal to me. I mean, we've had lots of discussions about things that were like, that left me empty, and I'm like, I loved it. And that's, that's art. But at the same time, I'm like, I felt like JLo all along was like, I'm good. I know exactly where this is going.
Do you think there's any nudging from producers or, those types of individuals?
There was a lot of discussion today about that, and I have to applaud David for answering a lot of my hard questions, because I asked pretty much every single one. And he said, everyone keeps on saying that things are overproduced and everything else, and he's like, this is probably, there's producing, but there's probably the least amount of production compared to, say, a Dancing with the Stars, where they make packages and they kind of guide you on how you should vote. He could not, he was like, look, he goes, I don't know. He's like, oftentimes the dances themselves from start to finish would take 40 minutes of like performing the dance, just doing the judging comments. And he goes, I don't know that something like Super Crew, where they thought that their comments had been retaped. He goes, I have a feeling that it was a very long judging segment. He's like, I'm just throwing this out there. He goes, but their truth is what they heard, and then what they saw on TV felt they were different. And he goes, I feel like maybe they only heard the good comments and then didn't hear the bad comments, and then when you see it on TV, and then it's whittled down from
edited,
a 15-minute judge's commentary down to 3 minutes, they're hearing something different.
Very true.
Because and to his credit, again, he was just like, I don't want to discredit what people felt or what people heard or what people believe, because that's their truth and that's their moment. And he's like, it's the same thing with the judges. What they see in that moment is what they feel, and that's how they're judging.
Well, and I mean, we're used to seeing a lot of live shows when it comes to dancing. So this is completely different. I mean, this has been done. Like, we had no say in it.
None.
So, of course, we have all these thoughts and feelings about every single episode, but this was already done. So it's a little bit different for us, all viewers. So I think that's something that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will say that there's pretty much a general consensus between all the producers that things need to change, things need to be adapted for season 2. Nappy Tabs, they were on their Twitter account this week talking about it, saying, we get it, and we would not have voted the same way that some of the judges did. And I think you see, if you take a look at the scores really closely, you see the dissension between Derek Hough and what Neo and J-Lo
yes.
voted. And I honestly definitely gravitated more towards how Derek was voting in most cases.
Yeah,
most
I agree.
cases. And I was like, I see what he's seeing. I get it. Are they understanding like how hard this technique is?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Derek went into it with fresh eyes with every routine, every act, whereas, like you said, I feel like J-Lo and maybe not so much Neo, but mainly J-Lo already knew how she was going to kind of steer things. I don't know, like, again, she's a powerful, strong woman, knows the dance world, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like she was as open as the others were. I don't know. Derek to me was very authentic in his judging. He was in the moment, judging fairly and accurately, but just my perspective.
And Derek, I mean, you talked about this. Derek does judge completely different. So I'm wondering if we could see what he scored higher on. What contestants scored higher on, choreography. What was it? Because it was clearly lacking for the other judges, but I'm thinking that we were all on the same page as Derek for the most part. But I don't know. I did appreciate that Neo was sometimes harder because that's what you want. You want criticism. You want feedback. You don't want, that was amazing, great job. No.
Of course not, yeah.
So I appreciated that. J-Lo, I mean, sometimes it was hit and miss with some of her comments. Sometimes I agreed, sometimes I sure did not. But, I mean, I don't want to think that she for sure knew the entire time.
No, I think she just knew what she liked. And I think that she is a woman that makes strong decisions. And I think when she saw like twins, she was like, that's what I like. That's my style, or that appeals to me. Where I think Derek especially kind of went on a journey with all the contestants.
Yes, I feel like it was definitely a
He understands
journey.
that from Dancing with the Stars, because guess what? You know what? He takes a contestant that's had no dance training, takes him on a journey, often wins them a mirror ball trophy.
Right.
I think Neo also went on a journey. He was tough at times, but I felt like he was a little bit more open, and he became more open as the process went.
Well, and I felt like they both, Neo and Derek, flowed with the competition. Like you said, it wasn't just the journey of the artist, but they took each act, and I don't know, I didn't feel like they were comparing them to the others. They were taking what was in front of them and judging. And that's, I don't know, I thought that was perfect for this format since the public didn't have any say,
Yeah.
Well, and also having Misty come on was great. So I'm wondering if they're thinking about adding, a different judge at different parts, of the competition, because that's
like more guest judges.
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
It added a different
As
element
long as
to
they're
it.
qualified. That's my one thing. I'm like, I hate it when they just throw in, like, we just have an album to promote, so let's throw in,
Right,
like, some random judge. Misty, obviously, extremely qualified.
Yes.
And the queen of constructive criticism. She always gives you one little morsel to, like, take back to the studio with you. So I'm like, if you bring someone in Misty qualifications, I'm
Well,
all
then
for
you'd
it.
have to for World of Dance. I mean, I understand with other dance competitions, you can kind of swing someone in there, but this is, again, like you said,
Have
the
you seen
Olympics.
some of the back in the day? So you think when they'd bring in, like, oh my gosh, who was the worst? Zoe Deschanel, and you were like, because she was on New Girl on Fox, and she was like, good teamwork, and I was like,
Well, I
okay,
thought she had a
you mean-
didn't she have a dance background?
Oh no, I mean, she literally was like, good
She's
teamwork, and I'm
saying-
like, you mean in unison? Like, is that what you're looking for?
She had some like a little bit. I mean, I'm not talking like
I
Broadway,
don't know.
but
It was
Like
rough.
tap? I think, was it tap? I see her
something.
tapping.
Somebody let us
in my
know on the
mind.
live chat, even though we don't have it in front of us. Well,
Yeah.
somebody will let us know.
But anyway, in general, actors aren't usually the best
Sure.
unless they're like musical theater type
Right,
of actors,
right,
so.
of course.
All right, so Les Twins on the first round get 92, 92, 95. The 95 was from Derek. So I do agree with him here, where I thought that this was the better of the two pieces from them.
I agree.
Their total was 93 for that first round. All right, and then we go to Swing Latino, and we find out that Steven has broken his ankle, and the emotion is just, you know what I love? This is a very big group, and large group dynamics can, be hard. They can be hard to work out, but everyone has so much heart, and you can tell that they all care, and this was such a huge opportunity, and they were all disappointed that Steve couldn't dance in the finale.
That was heartbreaking.
Well, there's so much more at stake for them. At least that's what they made it show. And that's what it made it seem like, in the show, because I mean, they really do pull at your heartstrings. You see them, they're coming from not the best of areas, and that's all they have. Dance is everything. Dance, they eat it, they breathe it, they live it, everything. So you could see and feel that passion when they danced, when they did all the tricks that it just kind of makes your heart stop a little bit. They're going to be fine, but just having that risks,
and they're a family, so I think just when even though they're so large, you have one person missing, there's an appendage missing. I mean, they obviously felt it very much, that a piece of their puzzle of their family is missing, and one of the members, as we saw mentioned, he wanted nothing more than to be part of that finale, and I just think, what a heartbreaker that you're not able to perform with your family,
I know, it really, that was a tough one. It was, because again, you feel it. You just like, that, even if they're all splitting up amongst the 20 members or however many there are, they're happy for that portion. Like, and we're probably here in the United States, you're like, I just want to win the $1 million by myself, and then I can have the $1 million, and very different.
Well, I mean, and I think I mentioned that after we saw the taping, like $1 million in Colombia. Can you even imagine how much further that would go? And I mean, we know they come from, just the slums with drugs and, just so many things that they were talking about. We can obviously not even imagine probably where they've come from, but how hard earned it must be. I mean, where do they practice? They probably don't have these big facilities we have here in the U.S. I don't know. Just my
different opportunities.
Yeah, my heart was just really, really pulling for them. I mean, I love Eva. I haven't made that a surprise, but I just think the $1 million would have meant. I just think out of the three of them, it would have gone the furthest.
Yeah. And when you're at the
group.
Olympics, always having that one particular underdog that comes out of nowhere,
and they did,
and wins the gold medal, which has happened before, because other people falter or something like that, and you're like, holy cow, this is not even just life changing; it's earth shattering.
Right.
We would have felt all. I mean, I probably wouldn't have kept it together if they had won. So.
Well, they left it all out on the stage, and as we saw, just so many death-defying tricks. They never stopped. It was 100,000% every time.
And I think also, when you look at something like that, earlier on, I was like, we all know that Swing Latino is not going to win the $1 million, and yes, but I didn't think they're also going to be in the finals. I thought for sure Kinjaz would be there. So, I have to take some of that back because I discounted their work and who they are as artists and what they were capable of. So my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all surprised.
Yeah, but I don't think it's about I don't think it's about saying my bad. I don't think that they really came out super duper strong, but they just really evolved, and then we saw tonight why they were in the top three.
They have a lot of wow moments though, and I mean they're doing tricks that sometimes they are death defying. They are. You sit there and you go, what was that? Wait, what? Because you think oh my God, someone's gonna fall, and it's they go into a back bend, and then you're like, oh my gosh.
And again, I mean, I've said it from the beginning, they're gonna have a show in Las Vegas, so I'm not sad for them. I mean, they will absolutely be offered. Somebody in Vegas. There's 1 million hotels that offer them a job.
Does anyone know Steve Wynn? He needs to get them. All right. Well, here we have with Swing Latino, you've got 91, 89, 95. Again, that's where you have Derek going, I know how hard their technique is. I know how hard it is with all of those, all the partnering, all the lifts, all the throws. That's where he gets it. And then I look at J-Lo and I'm like, 89, really? And I don't think we're seeing some of the moments, because they're always saying, oh, we want you guys cleaner. We want you guys cleaner. That has been a thread through this whole season.
Sure.
For some reason, I'm not seeing it as much on the camera. So they're seeing it in person.
Yes. And I think that J-Lo, I mean, specifically with the second dance, that felt much cleaner than the first. But you're right. We don't know what they're seeing in front of them. But I feel like from the beginning, J-Lo was not a fan of how busy everything was. I think she still respected them as artists and where they came from. But I don't know. I feel like on multiple occasions she commented on them being not clean. So
I think
don't know.
And it just depends on the judges, because I think, some of us prefer death-defying tricks. I love that. I mean, when you're playing it safe, it's just That's exciting.
Well, and their
but
type of dance is in, his Derek, anyway, it's in his wheelhouse. So maybe that's part of it too, is he just sees it in a different way.
Well, and he has a respect and understanding of, like, again,
The footwork
the
and-
footwork
yes.
on Colombian salsa is it's to die for. It's unbelievable. So they're at 91.7, which already drops them to second place there. And then you've got Eva Igo. And I will say that this one, for me, with Eva Igo, was a little underwhelming.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
And I take a look at last week and I take a look at this week and I'm like, I feel it's a lot of same. It was a lot of, I was like, we got like cute little like jungle kitty, we got like polar bear Eva, we got, you know what I mean? We got like Xena Princess Warrior. There's always a strength in there, which I appreciate, but I think I wanted something really vulnerable. I think I wanted a pretty number at a certain point to sort of contrast the strength that she always has. I wanted
A little bit of Diana in there. Yeah, because Diana, I felt like, was the pretty dancer.
emotional.
Yes.
Just different.
different. And
No, I agree with that. It's very ferocious,
I
as they
needed more
said.
levels from her. So I felt like everything was like a mask with like some wild hair and like, a unitard.
Yeah, and it's funny because
much.
on the her second routine, she had her up on, in the background on the video board. You guys saw that, right? Everybody
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
She was so natural. I almost feel like that's what she should have looked like on stage at some point. Just really natural. Just
Stripped down, like a
Yes,
stripped down.
very
piece.
stripped down.
She's
Yes.
still a kid.
very
She's only
stripped
14.
down. Well, and absolutely, but she's so compelling on her own that she doesn't need the theatrics. So I know what you're saying. It just would have been nice to peel back the theatrics a little bit.
Yeah, I think she could have just done like super simple hair, clean makeup, and then done a piece that just felt maybe earthy, maybe felt more lyrical.
I was just gonna say that her first dance I felt had a ton of jazz in it, which is fine. Like, I mean, it was beautiful, but the choreography I definitely agree was lacking. It just felt like it was kind of leg up in the air, and I don't know. It just felt not very multidimensional.
But I felt like she's had a lot of growth too. I mean,
Definitely.
we've seen that. We've seen that. So that's when I was like, okay, we've seen the growth. Like last week to me was like, here's the growth.
I wish that had been her finale piece, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think last week was so
I
strong.
talked about this
here,
with
for
David and about Kinja's and stuff like that. I was like, I wish Kinja's first two pieces
Sure.
been the last two pieces, and then just switched them, because then you build up to the magic. And people don't know when they're getting knocked out, so you're like, well, I'm just going to give my good pieces and then my best piece, and then I'll just figure it out as we go along. But sometimes you think, I look at this and I go, order might have made a difference, because I was like, last week to me, Eva would have like run away with this.
100%. I agree. Her first dance is what just absolutely slaughtered it, and unfortunately, it makes me sad to say that she's incredible, but I think that's just what.
And that's tough, because it's like, she's 14 years old. You're relying on other people primarily to choreograph for you. What do you have in your wheelhouse? They packed for 1 week. You know what I mean? Like, you look at these things and, are you bringing in a choreographer? Do you have someone here in LA that can sort of help you, like, zhuzh it up?
Sure.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Also, her first performance of the night, I felt like the props were in her way. She couldn't use the stage as much as she used to before. Just,
It felt like she was in the same place. Yeah. It just wasn't as multidimensional.
Yeah, it's like she fell flat to me. It was up here last week, and these two performances were not as good. They were great.
But
Just
again, I
not.
feel like we're comparing it to what we saw last week, and that was
Yeah,
so strong.
and that's the hard thing,
strong.
because it's like,
Yeah.
what's happening in the moment? Even though we look at like last week, or I look at Kinja's, and like the first 2 weeks, I was like, they're gonna win. They're gonna win the $1 million.
Right, definitely.
And then things just started to shift, and everything again is still excellent. But I felt like unbelievable, extraordinary happened in their first appearances. So she wound up with 90, 90, 93 for a total of 91. And again, you see Derek slightly higher. I think Derek had a little soft spot for Eva, and I kind of like that, because I was like, again, he appreciates the growth in the journey, and he sees that. So
And he said that she was the complete package. I mean, some of the things the judges said this time around were just like, you think they're gonna win, or make it far.
yeah, well, and you think about the statement that you're the complete package, because you look at Swing Latino and they've got some amazing tricks, but you kind of know what you're going to get, other than they're just building on the tricks. With Les Twins, they're already established. They have a brand. They know who they are. They
Right.
know what their movement is. So you're like, great. Like, we already know that they're world renowned for their work. You have someone with Eva, and Eva's like, it's more of a journey here, and this is discovering herself, discovering who she is as an
And
artist.
because she's so young, we don't know quite her brand yet, but she is going to be A-okay being. I mean, like,
yeah.
she's got somebody's picking her up, tomorrow if they haven't already. Like, she's going to be in such an incredible spot for the rest of her life.
Oh, she's already all over the place. She was at Dancer Palooza this week, and
she's fine.
she and her mom will wind up moving to LA like everyone else. But,
yeah, absolutely.
But it does make me think, and here's just to throw this out, like, we all felt for Eva, but what would have happened, and what would have the sort of fan reaction been if like twins had lost to Eva Igo, and then you're like, the best dancers in the world that the masters of their own style that they basically created lost to a 14-year-old. In some ways, if you think about that, there would be a backlash there as well.
Oh,
As we heard from Jabberwocky's fans when they lost to Ian Eastwood, and so.
But that's what makes dance so interesting, because you just never know what's going to happen. And it could have been. I mean, they were off by 0.1, 0.2 points. It's not that much of a difference.
yeah, they were.
So it could have
wickedly
gone
close.
to anyone.
It really could have. And had her first dance been stronger, I wonder, like, what would that have looked like?
Yeah, I mean, that's a perplexing question, because you're absolutely right. I mean, you have lay twins who are, like you said, masters of a craft they created versus, again, the David in this competition.
Still discovering who
and you're
she
right.
is.
The platform is not So You Think You Can Dance, where it's a platform for a brand new dancer making their name. She's clearly making her name. But I when all is said and done and the dust is settled, lay twins, they deserved the crown.
It makes the most sense. You're kind
Yeah.
of like, I get it. Because again, if
Well, and
you're-
it gives credibility to World of Dance, the competition. So I get what you're
Right.
saying. Where's the credibility coming from if it's just a random artist? I don't. I wonder
and
whether
you're
people-
saying this is the Olympics of dance.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and I look at it too, like, and again, if I throw out like Olympics terms, and had Simone Biles put out an amazing performance, and then Allie Raisman, who's great herself, but I mean, Simone is like, she's a goat. She's greatest of all time in her sport. What if that had happened and we were like, how did Allie win? You know what I mean?
think that's a different animal, because with even, well, I mean, it's not, I guess maybe it's not, but you look at maybe those gymnasts, they perform and they have one bad night. You know what I mean? And
Which can
that's their goal,
happen.
which can happen. But this is a 10-week, like, one bad night won't change you kind of thing. But I mean, lay twins would have had to have multiple, like, kind of fallouts, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that would have changed this outcome is if, because of the injury, they had to bow out. That would have been the
Yeah,
only thing.
yeah.
So we go back to Eva, because she comes back out for round 2. And this one, to me, even though it felt a lot of the same that we've seen, it was structured much better. I felt like she felt more into it. And I wonder if the song choice, where Neo picked that, just didn't resonate with her. And then this one resonated with her.
Well, and there were also some new moves from her. It was a little bit not so formal.
She had a lot of gymnastics in it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we saw acrobatics, but I felt like there was a few Lay Twins inspired moves in there. Just a little something that I appreciated. Derek said, "You're a star." Neo kept calling her a beautiful monster, which I think could really catch on. Beautiful monster. Yeah.
Totally works. I just find her charming. I love that she like roars, screams, whatever it is, falls in a hole and comes back up, and she's like, "Hey,
What's so much personality. Like last week when she had that death look as she's hanging there, and then she drops and she's like, hey guys.
Hey." And it makes me laugh. There's something so disarming about her that you're just like, she makes me smile. So, and it's interesting because World of Dance has introduced us to a lot of junior dancers. Dancing with the Stars has Dancing with the Stars Junior coming up. Who knows? D'Angelo, Amanda, will they use someone that is contemporary trained? Because we see that on Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be ballroom. Are we going to see some of these familiar faces showing up on another network soon?
Possibly. Oh, I mean, I feel like she'd pick up ballroom in a second. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God, in a
That-
heartbeat.
She can do anything.
I could see, yeah.
Yeah, America's Got
That's
Talent.
what I'm saying. Like it's again, we said this. It's a little disappointing because we kind of knew how this was going to end, but she is going to be A-okay.
Well, and remember, a lot of the contestants have been asked to come back for season 2. I don't know if she's been asked, but it is something to consider. Do you want to build on your brand and be on a network television show again? Or do you want to go off and try new things? Where are you at your career? That type of thing. Some people had good experiences with World of Dance. Some people did not. And I think that, it comes with any show. You're signing away your life with a reality contract. And is NBC, if you get an opportunity with ABC, let's say in 6 months, is NBC going to let you do it? Because they do own you for a year when you sign a reality show contract. So
I want Ian to come back. Can you ask him to come back?
I will ask him to come back. I love Ian. So on that second round with Eva, 95, 96, 98. So judges responded. I think we all responded more to that. Again, Derek a little bit higher on that. But that gives her an average of that round, 96.3 when you take round 1 and round 2. It gives her 93.7 according to them. But if you look at the board at the end of the show, it said 93.6. Some weird math going on there, some weird tenths. It didn't change the outcome, certainly. So she either won by 2/10 or she won, she lost by 2/10 or she lost by 1/10. So,
well, and the other thing is that she went back to back, which the order of everything.
Or did she?
Yeah, or didn't. She absolutely did. I think in real time she absolutely did not go back to back, but we know it was structured that way, which is why when I watched it, I was like, because I didn't know prior to, ladies, and so I was watching Raw, and I knew when they did that back to back, I was like, well, we know how this is gonna end up. So creative editing.
Well, they did very well with editing because just having the scores, how that worked out. Props.
Yeah, and I think what they can do, and I don't know, we don't know if they did this, but sometimes they'll film everyone out there and changing the scoreboards, and so once everything is done and everyone knows the score, sometimes they go back and refilm, because we don't know what order.
Pretend that they don't know that they're gonna,
Amy, welcome to Los Angeles.
Welcome to reality
and welcome to reality TV.
What do you mean they have to pretend? It's scripted?
Yeah, and if anyone watches Housewives, they do many takes of certain scenes.
Well, see, I'm used to that kind, but with this, I always think, dance is so pure and just beautiful. It shouldn't be
Nothing
scripted.
is pure in Los Angeles,
including the Botox. Well, but that's the thing. We don't know. It could have been back to back for all we know. It could have been out of order as well. So, they're trying to build a TV show. They want to create the most dramatic, and so they have to plan for those things.
Right.
Yeah. So we went through Eva, and then second round with Swing Latino. I thought they were a little off on the beginning. The girls, it looked like, jumped from the platform separate times, and I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like a 1-2 or if it was like it was supposed to be in unison and it didn't happen. I wasn't clear on that.
There was so much of that where you didn't know if it was supposed to happen or if something
a
went
couple
wrong.
of the first routine, there were a couple impact things where I was like, wait, was that planned? But I thought they were super clean on the second routine, but especially towards the latter half of it.
I wrote down that, I love having mini happy heart attacks every single time that I see them because you can always count on them being energetic and passionate and just full of tricks that are going to make you like a zombie because you're going to be dead by the time that it's over.
Yeah. The stamina it requires.
Yes. It's so beautiful, and I'm very proud of how far they came. They didn't lose by much, honestly.
No, and again, I wouldn't have. It was really just a matter of tenths between first and third.
So close.
And I would never have put Swing Latino in the finals. If you had asked me from the qualifying round, I'd be like, oh, they'll be around for maybe 2 rounds and then they'll go out.
Right.
So a tribute to them. I'm ready to buy a ticket for their show.
Yes.
I'm ready to have a fruity cocktail.
Have we talked about? Do we think that there's any kind of compensation for second and third? Do we? I don't know. You talked to the.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anything. It's, Survivor, one person gets it. It's kind of like it goes down depending on how many days
I'm sure
you stay.
people are wondering that. Is there anything for the second and third?
Nothing's been mentioned. And what do you do? The half, second place gets what, $500,000? Would it be that,
And it might take away too from the winner, maybe if you're putting out there if they're winning something.
It's $1 million. They can have their million. Other people can have a little bit.
I know. But even
endorsements and everything's going to happen after.
$100,000, even if they give it to second place, that's a lot of money. even taking away
Yes.
taxes,
Right.
it's still a lot of money, and it would have paid for
Right.
even. I was like, dance lessons, swing Latino. It
My
would have been.
heart, you guys, when I heard that, I was like, oh.
Well, I was thinking like student loans. You know, she's gonna be able to go to college. She will not have to worry at all about college. You know,
Or swing Latino if they had won $100,000. It's very impactful. So
They can continue their craft.
from what
with
I
that.
understand, it's the $1 million. And that's all we know for now. 93, 95, 96. So 94.7 for round 2, and then a total for both rounds 93.2. Can they see the chat? Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can see you guys now.
We
They just
can
put it
see
up.
Yeah.
Hello.
And then for Les Twins, this was the final round. Now, I love Michael Jackson, so I love that they kind of pulled this out.
Yes,
I
you
was
can't
like,
go wrong with MJ.
Can't go wrong. And I worry sometimes when people do pull out MJ because we know that the comparisons are there. But again, Les Twins can do it in their own style without like risking too much of like, you tried too many Michael Jackson moves and you're no Michael Jackson. That's the wonderful thing about what Les Twins are able to do and accomplish.
Ooh, it was beautiful.
this performance to me, I enjoyed it way more than the first one. It could have been partly because of the whole Michael Jackson vibe and the song choice, but I mean, Neo did say it was risky to choose that song, but we have seen, Ian Eastwood a while back did Michael Jackson-esque things. He used a Michael Jackson song too? No,
I believe.
I thought he did.
I thought Super Crew did.
Super Crew.
Okay.
Well, because we've seen that, and I mean, it hasn't. I mean, they're no longer.
Oh, we
here.
talked about him like when he dances, he looks like
did-
Michael
yeah.
Jackson. That's what
So
it was.
I mean, it was appreciated, and I think that performance, it makes sense that they won. The first one to me, I was like, but this one certainly.
You like
I know what Ian. We were comparing it to Black and White because he was black or white because he had that
Yes.
outfit. That's what it was. I was like, he looks like
Well,
Michael.
he's got like a
Jackson
little bit of that
vibes.
same
I
swag.
love it.
I don't know. The
He's a
shoulders.
similar body type too, like lean,
And his
tall and
profile.
lean. Yeah,
A little bit.
a little bit. I
Yeah.
can
We're
totally
all
see it.
crushing on the Eastwood.
Yeah. Les Twins, no Michael Jackson. Yes, they do. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and that when you go out there to such an icon, considered the king of pop, and I don't think anyone's ever going to eclipse him when it comes to something like that. How are you going to do it to really make it inspired by yet distinguished in your own
Unique,
style and unique? Yeah, and I think that they succeeded very strongly in that.
Yeah.
It was I preferred the first piece, but I really appreciated the second piece.
Likewise, and I loved the dynamic of the mirrors. That was kind of cool. It just added so much dimension on that
Yeah.
stage, and I don't know, it was visually pretty spectacular. to
Twins
watch.
element, like there's a lot to it. It was actually it was a well executed concept from start to finish. So
yes,
One of the best ways of using props for sure that we've seen on the show, I think.
100%. So their score 94, 97, 93, and that's where I look. I'm like, this is where you see Jennifer Lopez was like, I got it.
Yep.
Like this is my preference. You look at Derek, and he's like them, appreciate them, not my favorite. And then Neo, believe it or not, was just kind of somewhere. He was 94, so he was kind of somewhere right there in between. But 94.7 for the outcome of 93.8, a very close race, first, second, and third. Couple things that I want to talk about, just overall themes of the season, since I think everyone kind of knows how we feel about Les Twins and the win, and I think that we might have been more excited had the show been live.
Yes.
It felt flat, and it felt
Very
the audience
flat.
felt flat. And I've got to imagine though, if you were in the audience, it was probably exciting. But for
did
some
not
reason,
translate though. Watching
no.
it.
And we were saying how much we appreciate now the live
Yes.
element for a show. I'm throwing this out there. It was in my To The Point interview, but he said David said they're thinking. Everything's in planning stages. Everything can easily be changed, but they're thinking about at least doing a live finale. And that would be great for several reasons. Obviously, the excitement, the buildup, but it also allows for a lot of people had to keep a secret for a long time, and
Yes.
it was 47 contestants to begin with, and a lot of them are crews, so it's within those 47 contestants, there's like
It's a
20
lot.
people
It's
or
a lot
15
of-
people.
It's a lot of secret keepers.
It's a lot of secret keepers. The audience had to sign, non-disclosure agreements. You can tighten everything up a little bit more by having a live show, and maybe you do the taping and then you have the live show at the end of that.
Yeah, that would add such a so much more of an exciting element. Feeling flat is the best way to describe it.
And he was saying, like, if they do a live thing, they're thinking, like, how do we make it bigger? Back in the day, American Idol would transfer over to the Kodak Theater, which is now the Dolby Theater. So You Think You Can Dance actually was over at Kodak Theater. So they're thinking of maybe making it bigger and taking it outside the studio.
Absolutely.
Again, these are all ideas that they are tossing around.
But that's an easy component to add if you think about it. Like, they can still do the pre-tapings, but finale would be incredible.
As long as they can work out those schedules, I will tell you. I know that J-Lo's schedule was very difficult, and then you toss in Derek's. It was very challenging for them to work that out.
Well, and wouldn't it allow the contestants a little bit more time to practice in between the taped shows in the finale?
Depending on how they structure it.
Like how close.
Quite possibly, and maybe have a better opportunity to go back and work with your favorite choreographer and really button things up and make this super exciting of, like, holy cow, like, who's gonna
like
win?
I almost feel like, wouldn't it be kind of exciting to have their second dance be like choreographed by someone in the industry that we know? I don't know, that could be kind of a cool element.
That could be awesome. They had a lot of choreographers work behind the scene. I really appreciated having Derek as that mentor. I'm like, you're seeing some of the magic of what he's capable of.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish, again, I know we talked about the 1 hour versus 2 hour, but I would love for it to be longer and see a little bit more of that time, the choreography that's happening and that relationship, but we didn't see any of that this time.
And again, David basically confirmed they're tossing around longer episodes. They're tossing around a longer season. No audience participation. They're kind of like, they'll keep it on the Snapchat. Yeah, they just feel like it is an element that they want to keep out of the show. And you know what? I'm totally for it.
Me too.
I think sometimes we start getting into factions of, like, I almost think that this could have happened. We'd have, like, Jabberwocky's faction versus Ian Eastwood, and everyone voting and yelling at each other on social media. And I'm like,
I agree. And with Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance, there's enough of that audience participation. Sorry, hard word to get out. But this, I definitely feel is kind of their own thing, and that works.
Well, and Jenna, I'd love for them to do something.
That was a big misstep with Jenna, and we didn't get talking about Jenna. And I don't think the show needs a host. I'm gonna say that right now. But I love Jenna, and I want them to amp up her role as a mentor in that behind the scenes thing, and I want them to utilize her more on the show, and then take some, like, behind the scenes clips and throw it online.
Yeah, she was, I love Jenna too. I love her dance style so much, and I actually thought we'd see, like, a piece of it, and there was nothing. Like, I don't know, I felt like her entire, presence on this show was just...
It was wasted.
Pointless, honestly.
Well, and you could see little glimpses of, oh, look, they're letting me talk, cut. There's just little tiny tidbits.
Yeah.
Misty Copeland had more screen time than Jenna did.
I don't know what happened there. Something definitely...
I just think they didn't define her role, and I think by just knocking out a host, it doesn't need a host. It just doesn't. But she can be, like, more of like, really get in with the contestants. If someone's really nervous, someone's really injured, instead of having these silly little surface questions, like, really dig in there. Like, you look like you're having a really rough time. Like, or let's go into rehearsals. Throw her into a rehearsal.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to see her in that dance rehearsal
She's
space.
got the capability.
So.
She understands how to...
Oh, yeah, she does.
Not so dressed up. A little bit more down to earth with the contestants would be great.
Because she's going to look just as good in a sweatsuit as she
Yeah,
does.
if that was the worry,
they just need
she's
to,
gonna look
they
great.
need to make her role more purposeful, and not, like you said, was a misfire this first season. And I'm sure that they'll rectify that in one way or another.
Yeah, I think that is something. Another thing we discussed for sure was YouTube and why everything wasn't on there. I was like, why are we seeing, like, some things and other things? And he goes, I don't have a 100% answer. And he goes, but I'm going to tell you that it was, he goes, I'm going to tell you what I think. And it's kind of something that we had thrown out. And he said, copyright for music. And he said, you need to understand, and this is a great explanation, you need to understand that NBC is different than you and I having a YouTube channel. So when NBC gets the music rights for, say, let's just throw out there in the air tonight, sometimes it will include online rights with YouTube, and sometimes it won't. And if it doesn't, they're not allowed to place it on YouTube. It also expires. So instead of us, we can probably put up our, like, our dance and everything else, as long as we follow the YouTube rules, we can keep it up there until we fall off this earth. with networks, it is usually about a 1-year agreement or a 1-season agreement, and eventually it will be pulled off.
Absolutely.
And we see this with So You Think You Can Dance. If you look there, it's only season 14 that's up there. They don't have a bunch of season 13 up there. All the dances are gone. So that at some point they scrub the channel and then they start over again.
Yep.
And I think that does make the most sense. And I was glad. And he gives a better, more in-depth explanation of how YouTube works, because he works with his World of Dance tour and the TV show and how complicated it is. So be sure to check out the To The Point, because David hit a lot of these points, and I'm just kind of giving you some highlights. And he will
that's
better
good.
explain
That's
it.
great info, because I know that was a question of ours a lot this
Yeah.
season, is why can't we find it? And I mean, there's so many legality issues with music and all, like you said, with all of that, and you know, the expiration, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it's disappointing, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did confirm it is an exclusive. I'm going to make y'all go to the interview to find out how they're doing the categories, but it will be 4 categories next year, 100%. But he told me exactly what those categories are, but you have to go watch and do your homework. But I think that also, he said, you know, with the expanded time, a longer season, a better categorization of the dancers, he said, we think that this will make a bigger impact. And this is not just him from the executive producer side.
Right.
This is, you know, coming from the choreographer side, the dancer side. They're listening. They know that they did not have a perfect season.
Well, do you think that they're going to change what they're judging them on too, those 5 categories?
I think they appreciate the 5 categories.
Yeah.
The only thing I wish is that there was some disclosure of the 5 categories of, like, you know, Derek gave a 16 for technique, J-Lo
yeah,
gave
like
18.
almost, they could even put it on the screen somewhere. I don't know, show us like how they scored. That could be kind of fun element to add.
Well, see, and the biggest thing is that this was the first time World of Dance came to television like this. So there's going to be a lot of hiccups along the way. We saw those. But the goal was achieved. I mean, we got a winner. Some people are happy. Some are like, eh. And there's a lot of changes that are going to be made. So it makes us really excited for next season for sure. Because now I'm just like, when is it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
What I like about World of Dance, and I hope dancers like sort of think about this, there's a lot of opportunity by going on World of Dance, because with that extension, and he broke this down too, because I was like, a lot of people don't understand how World of Dance works. There is the World of Dance Tour, which is a competition, and sometimes they bring in some of the all-stars to perform in that competition, not necessarily compete, but perform. There's World of Dance Live, which we saw at like Universal City. They're doing a version of that in August in Minneapolis. They're doing it here in Irvine. They're doing it in different cities, so check on their website. This is WOD.com for all those dates. And then, of course, they have the show arm. So there's a lot of continuing opportunities with the brand if you think it works for you. And he's like, we're not forcing anyone. He's like, but we would love for you guys to grow with us. And, you know, look, we've seen it on So You Think You Can Dance. The person that always wins isn't the one that always goes on to fame and fortune. Sometimes the person that was, when it was top 20, the person like Brittany Cherry, top 20, hello, she's on Dancing with the Stars and has had a great career. How do you take this launching pad and keep that momentum going? That is always the big question. And the dancers that understand that are the ones that have longevity in this business.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think for Swing Latino, hopefully somebody will pick them up. You know what I mean? Because I feel like going back to Colombia, I don't know if they have the platform that they have here. So I'm hoping somebody will, you know, see them and it will launch them on.
Or do they come back to World of Dance? Maybe they come back to World of Dance.
Sure.
I mean,
hopefully they'll not. Hopefully they'll allow that. I'm afraid that now, because they were all 3 in the finals, can Eva and Swing come back? If
But
they
he
wanted
said clearly, he's like,
All
at the
right.
Olympics, people come back.
All right.
Delay twins come back. I don't know. Like, I would consider that like, I won the gold medal, I'm good. But they are very competitive.
Oh my gosh.
I would never count them out if they were asked back. I really wouldn't. So I think that that's really important.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit I just can't believe it's over. I feel we just started. So I'm excited for a longer season and to see more talent and to see where everyone ends up. I mean, Swing Latino. We could find out that tomorrow they're doing something in Vegas.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you
I
just never know.
And I think we had the twins as the winners. You're like, oh, how much is that going to impact them? They're already like world famous. They are earning money off of brands and dance and everything else, where it would have impacted Swing Latino and Eva more. However, he goes, I feel like this has the potential to be a 10-season show, and that over these 10 seasons, of course he wants it to go longer, but he said over 10 seasons, I can picture that this being a life-changing event for a different dancer. And he's like, we will see the show evolve in different ways. And so we'll see what happens. But I do appreciate that they're open to changes. The dance industry is changing very quickly. I feel like World of Dance made the other shows stand up and take notice because So You Think You Can Dance has upped their set. They've upped their social media game.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Dancing with the Stars, which has gotten very dusty. I'm looking forward to seeing how they
How it
approach
changes the landscape in reality.
100%.
Yes. Competition TV. I agree with that.
And do any other networks follow with their own dance competition show? Because there's always imitators.
Bring
Always.
it.
I don't know. I think that, like we said, you can't imitate the Olympics, and they came out with the World of Dance. So I don't know if you can really top that.
Universe. That's
They'll
the same
they'll
thing.
find something. They
Yeah,
will find
universe.
something.
I know they'll bring people from
Listen,
Mars.
there's variations of The Voice coming called The Four on Fox. American Idol's coming back. Things.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know.
It'll
So
happen
shocked.
in the dance world. Don't
Dance is here to stay.
All right. Well,
It
I'll stay riveted on what the next.
All right, well, you
Dance
ladies, it was amazing working with you this season. We certainly missed TK today,
do,
my little buddy over
TK.
here. But tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Amy Cassandra. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmyCassandra_TV and AmyCassandra.com. I'm also doing a couple things with So You Think You Can Dance. So dance is here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Yes, I second that. You can find me here on the So You Think You Can Dance panel at AfterBuzz. I'm Becky Sattero. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and red carpets near you.
All right, fantastic. And of course, you guys can find me to the point on Tuesdays, 3 p.m. on Popcorn Talk. Thank you for joining us this season. We certainly appreciate all the highs and the lows of World of Dance. It was kind of really interesting to ride it all with you guys on a brand new, fresh show.
Yes.
All right, you guys can find me at Kristyn Burtt on Twitter and the Kristyn Burtt on Instagram. Have a great rest of the summer.
Thank you for checking in with us.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.